Hello, this video is about risk and reward. Why do I do these videos? Well, uncertainty creates anxiety, but understanding helps create confidence. The future will always be uncertain. Your financial decisions don't have to be. For over 30 years, I've seen the same questions come up over and over. Will my money last? What if the market crashes? Am I making the right decisions? How do I stay calm when everyone else is panicking? And many more, but all to do with uncertainty. My videos are to help you answer these questions. And today's question is, how do I reduce risk and still get a good return? This was what I was first taught when I started financial planning over 30 years ago. It's not about timing the market. It's about time in the market. Meaning, it doesn't matter when you buy, if you stay in long enough, it will be okay. I was also taught how to choose investments for a client. And this is how. 1. Ask them some questions. 2. Their answers result in a risk profile. Then based on that, select a portfolio. Like this, or this, or this, and do it. Didn't matter whether markets were high or markets were low, just do it. That's what the client's answers meant we had to do. The results, well, it worked for some, but it didn't work for everyone. It was bad for some, in fact. I saw some people invest into the market, and shortly after, their balance got hammered. The market had dropped a lot. It was like a lottery. I was told to say, it's time in the market, it will come back, just be patient. What got hammered more was people's confidence, and some never recovered. What about me? I couldn't live with this. There must be a better way, I thought. So I started searching for answers and found some. Here's what I found. Some times are better to buy than others. There are times when the odds are more in your favour, and also how to avoid the worst times. No, not a crystal ball. Value investing. If you buy when the market is good value, it tends to go better. If you buy when the market is bad value, it tends to go against you. Now, good and bad can be calculated. It's just maths, facts and figures. I also found it is not an exact science. To do this more safely, we must hedge our bets with different portfolios at different times. For example, if the market's bad value, you might have something like that with a little bit of shares. If it's average value, we could have some more shares. If it's very good value, we might even have a lot. Different portfolios depending on the markets. Here's one client experience. In 2006, a long-term client came to see me. She had a very conservative portfolio. All her friends were getting a lot better returns, and she wanted more shares like they had because they were getting their returns from the shares. I convinced her it was the wrong time to do this. She decided to wait until markets were better value. Less than a year later, the global financial crisis started. Markets crashed. Her super didn't. She was very relieved, and so was I. And then later, we moved her super from this to this when it was very good value, and it was very good value. How do some investors get it wrong? It's not because they're unintelligent, it's because they're human. When everyone is excited, it's hard not to get excited. When everyone is panicking, it's hard not to panic. We've all done it. My client's friends had gotten excited, and she had as well for a bit, but she stayed true to her strategy, and it paid off in the end. Value investing means buying when value is good and sell when value is bad. See my YouTube video on good value goes into it a bit deeper and explains all the theory behind this, but essentially if you buy when it's good value, you get good returns. When you buy when it's bad value, you get bad returns. How does one use that to manage a portfolio? Would this be useful? A method to estimate the potential return of any portfolio, a method based on historical averages and the state of the market at the time. A way to tell if you could expect this, where you got that much downside and that much potential upside, or this, where you've got this much potential upside and this much downside. Thought so. And another search began. Fortunately, I have a curious nature, and here is what I came up with. I realized I already knew how to estimate returns from cash, bonds and interest investments. The real challenge was estimating the return from share and property investments. That's where market value became important to portfolio construction, which is putting together a set of investments that will achieve what you want it to. Here's how you do it. So portfolio construction, so the green bit here, that's growth investments, and the orange bit is defensive investments. Defensive investments are cash, fixed interest, interest-based investments, and they're fairly easy to predict returns. Growth investments, the green bit, includes shares, property, Australian and international, and they're not so easy to predict. But we can estimate based on historical averages and the value of these markets at the time. And by the way, even when shares have dropped, they still pay dividends. They might pay a little bit less, but they usually still pay dividends. Thus, we can now produce this. This is a graph that shows us what the potential reward is and what the potential risk is. How is it used? Okay, we know the value of the market, so we can now test different portfolios to get the one we want. Let's say the market is bad value, and we look at this portfolio. What's that going to look like? Whoops, that much downside, that much upside. This one here, a bit more shares, or a bit less shares, sorry. So potential rewards like that, potential risk is like that. Or here, we've got not much shares at all. The potential reward is this, and the risk is that. Which would you prefer? This one, or this one? This is my choice. See how it makes it a lot easier to make a decision when you can see what you're looking at? What if the market was good value? Okay, let's test this portfolio. If we got that much in shares, it could do that. Woohoo, that doesn't look too bad. This one here has got some more shares. It looks like that. And this one here's got a lot of shares. And this is what it looks like. So which would you prefer? This one, or this one? Now with those numbers you can actually take a choice. This one here is going to give you better return in the long term and the market's good value. That'd be my choice there, because the ratio is still a lot. That's a lot bigger than that. Let's talk about evolution. The ideas weren't new. The combination is. And the combination evolved over time. I realised this combination could reduce mistakes. Mistakes that would erode confidence and leave people in positions they don't want to be in. So then it just needed a name. So I called it the Value Adjusted Risk Reward Ratio, or VAR. And what we want is for this to be at least 2 times that. It's no guarantee. It's an estimate only based on historical averages, and it could be more or less, but historically it would be, but based on history, it would be 80 and 90% chance it'll be between these numbers here. So market values change. It makes sense to change your portfolio when the market changes. It's not a guarantee, it just helps reduce risk and helps get better returns. Successful investing isn't about predicting the future. It's about making sensible decisions when nobody knows what will happen next. And VAR helps with that. Today's question was, how do I reduce risk and still get a good return? Well, this isn't about predicting what markets will do next week. It's about recognizing that expected long-term returns change when value changes. VAR simply puts that philosophy into numbers. With VAR, we won't eliminate risk, but by considering value before choosing our portfolio, we can stack the odds more in our favour. And the value adjusted risk reward ratio is simply a way of estimating the future risk and reward of different portfolios before deciding which one suits today's market. And it helps to have these numbers to look at. I won't ask you to believe this because I say so. I encourage you to test it for yourself, then decide whether it makes sense to you. Would you like to know more? Well, you can visit my website, give me a call, or see my YouTube channel. Here's a general advice warning. It's a simple one, it's Gavinized version. This presentation is for educational purposes only. The information is reasonably accurate. Some poetic license has been taken to a small degree, just for explanation purposes, to make it easier to understand. This is important. Get advice from an expert before doing anything. The next one is the official version. I'm going to move on. If you want to read all that, you can pause the video and have a read. And remember, uncertainty creates anxiety. Understanding creates confidence. Thank you. Have a great day.